Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Austin Clark here, host of the Multiply You podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. We strive and work very, very hard to be able to have just incredible guests on that might be able to add value and contribute to anyone in the home services space. And we today is no exception. We've got an incredible guest on today. We'll introduce him here in just a moment, but so glad that he's sharing some of his time and morning with us. This episode, as they all are, it's brought to you by Moxie Pest Control. We have been very, very fortunate the last 2 decades to be able to grow. We're experiencing a lot of hyper growth right now at this time, as a lot of firms are. And we grow the same way that all firms do. We do it by providing great service. We do it by receiving referrals. We do it by traditional marketing means. We do it by more digital type means, whether it's pay-per-click or long-form SEO. Recently, we've had the opportunity to purchase or get into the purchasing and acquisition business, and that's been fun. It's been challenging, but we've been able to put together a few deals that have made a lot of sense for a lot of people on both ends. And so specifically in Phoenix or specifically in Arizona, if anyone is out there that knows anybody that's looking to be able to transition into the next chapter of their life that owns a pest control company, we'd love to talk to them. They can reach out to me directly on my cell. It's 480-254-9730. They can email me directly at aclark@moxiepestcontrol.com. Don't go on to our national site and submit a form. It'll go to our national team. I'll never see it. But we'd certainly love to learn about those opportunities as people are hearing about them. Today, we've got David Giannetto on. David is the CEO of WorkWave. And I'm so excited about some of the things that he and I will be able to discuss today because they're important. And the topic at hand is discussing a strategic partnership that David will share a lot more with us about, and how any of you that are listening that are pest control operators can really look to deliver even more value to our customers, and also just improve the bottom line, improve the top line. And it's also not limited to the pest space. And I just found this out probably 2 or 3 weeks ago in talking with David and some of his team, that it's not just limited to the pest space like maybe it was a few short years ago. David Giannetto, he serves as the Chief Executive Officer at WorkWave, where he's focused on creating a strong organization of empowered employees that understand customer and industry needs, and through great collaboration and teamwork, execute to great effect. His goal is to solidify WorkWave's position as industry leaders and become the trusted advisor that helps customers grow and succeed in every area of their service business. Giannetto has nearly 20 years of experience leading and managing international organizations, focused on the deployment and usage of enterprise-level technology in a wide range of service-oriented industries. Prior to his time as an executive for software companies, he was the CEO of the Telos Group and the practice lead of the nationally respected EPM consulting practice of J.H. Cohn. Earlier in his career, he was a hands-on operational leader for Airborne Express and an officer in the U.S. Army. He's the author of 3 books and nationally respected thought leader, speaker, and columnist on how information and technology can drive business performance. Giannetto received his MBA from Rutgers University and his undergraduate degree from Monmouth University. He's won awards as both a wildlife photographer and a Delaware River Decoy Carver, and he currently resides in New Jersey. David, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on. How are you doing today?
Hey, Austin, thank you. Thanks for that introduction. It feels a little bit long when I have to listen to it myself, but I guess I am getting on in my career. So thank you.
Hey, no, of course. It's only long because you've been there, done that. So you've got a lot of experience. It's all your fault, I guess.
I guess so. I like to think it all prepared me to be here at WorkWave with this great group of employees and to be in great industries with such great customers. So.
And so, David, let's jump then right into the meat of this thing. I want to, kind of introduce you to the audience first, but let us know a little bit more about, what has prepared you to be where you are leading this organization. Where were you before you landed at WorkWave? What were you doing? How did the opportunity come about for you to be where you are now and doing what you're doing?
Sure. I was at another field service software provider, a company called Astea, which is one of the original creators of field service software about 40 years ago. And WorkWave happens to also be about 40 years old, although it really started creating its field service management solution about 25 years ago. That's PestPac, that many of your listeners will know. So I was there as the chief operating officer. And WorkWave had been, unbeknownst to me, struggling to find a CEO after the IFS acquisition. And somebody, and I still don't know who to this day did it, they said to the recruiter that they should call me because I was in New Jersey. I had a long history in field service. I came from operations and service myself. I have a pretty strong sales and marketing background. And WorkWave defines its mission as three things. That's to help our customers grow their business, service their customer, and maximize their money. So my background just fortunately, I think, prepared me well for WorkWave in the sense that I've been in the shoes of our customers, not perhaps as an owner, the way many of our customers own and operate their own service company, pest control, or any of the other verticals that we serve. So I think I understand where they're coming from, but also have been around technology that runs businesses, that's mission critical, that our customers are choosing and trusting us to run their business with them when they use our platform. So I've been around the space long enough that I think it prepared me well for the complexity of WorkWave. WorkWave is one of the most complex companies I've ever worked at, but also the most talented group of individuals I've ever worked with, completely sincere and genuine in what they do. And it's been a great home for me. I think every chance I get, I say that being at WorkWave and leading this team is really the greatest privilege of my career so far.
Well, and I know that it's a very unique perspective that you have in the sense that, if you're in software, you're kind of in software and that's your career. But for you to have come from the field, in a sense, you bring a different level of expertise and just understanding that the traditional software guy or gal just might not fully either understand or appreciate. And so you can, from a field perspective, understand the unique challenges that software might present, to its users. And I love your guys' at WorkWave, the mission statement, because it really does resonate with me, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners. But in doing just that, providing competitive advantage that allows customers to grow their business, service their customers, and maximize their profit. I mean, if someone listening doesn't have a mission statement, don't plagiarize WorkWave's and David's. But I mean, that's it, right? It's really delivering value for its customers and shareholders and owners. So, our topic, getting right into the meat of this, is a really exciting thing that I think probably a month, maybe it's been 2 months now, that you guys have just recently made public and announced. But that is a very key strategic relationship with one of the largest and most reputable and effective chemical companies and distribution companies out there. And so we're going to talk, I don't want to give tons of it away because I'd like for you to do that, but it is essentially WorkWave and Target Specialty products working together in a strategic partnership to be able to advocate for small businesses by generating more savings for them and integrating with their merchant services or our merchant services. And so tell us more about that. How did that come about? Why? What problem were you guys looking to be able to solve? And how did all that happen?
Yeah, it's such a long story. We could talk for an hour just on, how the idea came about within WorkWave, all the different things that came together to make us start to think the way we think now. But when I joined the company 2 years ago, we really had to stop and ask this question of who WorkWave is and what our mission is. And WorkWave is a very young company. The average age is 31 years old. despite the fact that PestPac's been in the market for 25 years and the company's been around for 40 years. So the average employee of ours was born after the company was formed. So it is quite a progressive thinking organization and quite purpose-driven. And I think the thing is that we mean it literally. When we defined our mission of, help them grow, service, and maximize their money, we then took it to the next level and say, well, how do we do that in the sense that it's very real? WorkWave started as a partnership between pest control operators and a software company. There was no solution present in the market, and it was really through this, what we call partnership-driven software development process of really integrating the customers into the ideation and development of software and good communication with them that WorkWave really formed back in the day under the name of Marathon Data Systems. So we were asking, well, what does it mean in a real sense? It's one thing to say, give them a competitive advantage. You hear that a lot in MBA class, are always talking about this, but how do you do that in a very tangible and real way? A lot of our competitors will just wholesale copy what we do as the industry leader. I guess it's a form of flattery, but they say it, but we didn't see a lot of action. So when we became what's called a fintech or a PayFac about 2 years ago and launched WorkWave Payments, one of the things that did was allowed us to unify the buying power of our customer base. Now we have somewhere around 67 of the PCT 100, and those are mostly larger companies at the top end of that scale. They can bargain, they can command discounts that none of the SMB pest control providers or lawn and landscape cleaning, janitorial, any of the verticals that we serve, none of those companies can do it. So we were looking at this buying power we had suddenly accumulated through WorkWave Payments, which is approaching $2 billion of buying power that we now have. And we asked quite literally, how can we use this on behalf of our customers? How can we be a good partner to them, a good custodian of this buying power that they've allowed us to gather up from them? And where can we use it? So we're looking at a variety of programs, but one of the ones that we were able to bring to market first, because we were working so closely with Target Specialty Products, was our supplier discount program. And what it does at the heart of it, it does really two things that add real value to SMB pest control providers, but we're rolling it out to the other verticals we service as well. It allows us to put a small business on the same price discount tier as a large business, right? That's the value proposition, having buying power in the market. With WorkWave Payments, we were able to turn around to the banking system and say, look, we're here to bargain on behalf of our 6,000, 7,000 customers. We expect them to get a low rate. And we were able to do that on their behalf, and we passed much of that savings on to them. We're essentially doing the same thing here and going out and saying, Target, we would love to partner with you. We bring a lot to the table with our customer base and giving you integrated access to them through PestPac. And what we expect is a unique discount to our customer base that is not given to any other customer base. And it came in two forms: putting small companies on the same discount tier as large companies to level that playing field, and also giving them a wholesale discount that they couldn't get anywhere else, up to 5% off of all supplies across the entire year. And Target Specialty Products is called Specialty Products, but the name is, as an outsider, somewhat misleading. They are one of the largest suppliers in all categories to the pest control community. And I would say that they are the most trusted advisor, because what they do is not just sell supplies. They're giving advice and guidance to a lot of the pest control operators on what chemicals to use, what is safe, what's proper application, and how do you maximize the discounts the rebate discounts that might be coming from manufacturers and a discount to what Target does. So a lot there, I know. It's a huge question of how it came, but it's all part of this next wave of activity that you'll see out of WorkWave now that we're a standalone company, of adding tangible value to our customer base. And that's going to have far-reaching impacts across the industry.
Absolutely. And I think that you answered a lot of the questions that I had here about, maybe how that came about. But, WorkWave is no novice. It's not a startup. It's been around for a very long time, but it seems that as you've been sharing with, the average age of 31, that it's kind of maybe not recently, but it is a young in terms of age and employee count. It's a young company with probably a lot of young new ideas. And this is one of them. And I think that you kind of unpacked this 3 to 4 really incredibly valuable things for either pest control operators like me that are not a $100 million company or an $80 million company, and to be able to pass savings on, whether it's in terms of product that they're using or chemical that they're using or merchant services. That is something I know that we're constantly looking to be able to renegotiate our merchant services, because every year, no matter what, it's a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and you've got to do it. Are you not going to accept ACH or credit card, or you're accepting payments the way that your customers want to give you payments? You know what I mean? And then always having the best technology and also products available to service your customers. You talked about, and I'm glad that you spoke to why Target, because that was a question. There's a couple of large national players that do good work. I believe that Target does great work. And I think it's important to note that it's not, Target is not just a chemical company that says, what do you want? Here it is. They are, like you said, an advisor that will say, these are the best practices. Here's the continuing education units that we can offer you. If you have a question, I know that you can reach out either on an online portal. They've got many associate certified entomologists or ACEs on staff to help to identify and troubleshoot, maybe particularly difficult, issues. You made mention, David, or talked about competition in your space, and WorkWave really setting the bar for that. So there's a lot of imitators, but do you think that with some of these moves, will guys like me in the space see more strategic partnerships like this? Will more companies look to follow suit? Or you guys are so far advanced and so far out there? This is a really big thing and difficult thing to do and difficult thing to imitate.
Yeah, we do see our competitors doing simple things. Like, you could go back and read some press releases only from maybe 2-3 months ago from the competitors, and they'll say, oh, we've integrated a catalog into our software. But what their value proposition is ease of use, let's call it. More, maybe a slightly easier way to order supplies. And with the integration of Target Specialty Products into PestPack or WorkWave Service, our other service platform, you do get that ease of use, right? It does allow you to go down this path of better management of inventory, more proactive ordering, so that you have the right supplies to do the call as soon as possible, to make sure that you can solve it on the first go round, right, to improve your cash flow as a company. But what you don't hear from any of the competitors is creating a value proposition that is anything more than ease of use. So when we add into it the fact that there is actually bottom line savings for the WorkWave customer base, you only get that from WorkWave. I love it. I say, I dare you not to match this to our competitors, because it just helps me grow. If I can save our customers money in 5 or 6 different areas that are outside of software that they can't get anywhere else, then the 65% market share that we already have over pest control will simply grow. So our feeling is they have to do something. They have to match it, or it will become more and more obvious that the distance between WorkWave and our competitors it's already great, but it is just getting wider and wider as we continue to invest more and more into our software. We invest far more into our software than any of the competitors that we have. And I know all the C-level players in those. It's a very friendly industry on the software side. So I know what they invest compared to what we invest. And we're probably 4 to 5 times bigger than any of our competitors too. So they're going to have to react. And as they react and start to try to mimic some of the things that we're doing, all of the operators across the industry will succeed. And I think that it really helps us live up to our purpose, being purpose driven. I think what I realized as a service operator myself was that we can have all this software, all this infrastructure, we can have all the podcasts, we can do all these things, but service at the end of the day is a technician or a provider standing in somebody's on their front lawn or in their living room or in their place of business and giving them service, providing service. That moment of service happens. And it's that moment of service that is going to determine what the relationship will be between that service provider and that consumer or that customer of theirs. And we've got to strip service back, let technology sit in the background so that the playing field is more even. You can't let billion-dollar companies have a competitive advantage over the small companies in their same local geography. You have to level that playing field so that the best service provider can win. The best customer experience wins out. And technology is a big part of that, but it's about letting the service provider decide the kind of business they want to run, high cost or high cost or high quality, any of the services that they may or may not choose to offer. Are they adding on services? Are they giving financing? How are they really creating their business? Let the technology enable that, and then the best service provider can win.
I love that. So you made mention of a few different things that WorkWave is able to provide its clients, the 6,000 to 7,000 of them. So the integration with Target is certainly one of them. Bigger purchasing power that you guys hold in your behalf, and so that brings rates down for everybody. Also, the merchant services piece. Are there other things besides the actual software itself? But are there other things that have either happened or that are in the pipeline that help your clients either save so they can reinvest to grow their companies, and that's good for everybody?
Yeah, it took us a while earlier in the year, but the first step after WorkWave Payments was actually launching the marketplace, WorkWave Marketplace. So if you are a PestPac user, if you go in, you'll see on the menu now Marketplace. It's actually at the bottom. You click through that. That's where you would get to the Target Specialty Products site and the integration that's there. And you set up your account and all that through the Marketplace. And you'll see across the rest of the year, one program after another being added to the Marketplace. And what we're really doing is talking to our customers, understanding what their spend is, what the big areas of spend are, so that we can go out, we can vet out and find trusted partners, companies that we know are going to provide good service. We can ask them to provide a unique discount to our customer base in exchange for putting them in the marketplace. And we can use the financial levers that we have through WorkWave Payments to make that relationship smoother and easier for our customer base. So you will see a good partnership now in Smart Traps. So WorkWave launched that as part of the marketplace. That was a very early on integration that we did. And all of a sudden you see more and more companies buying and using Smart Traps because WorkWave and PestPac decided to really double down on Smart Trap integration. So we're seeing that when we do it, it becomes possible to use Smart Traps out in the field because the efficiency is there. The power of Smart Traps are now brought to the table because you need a technology like PestPac to make that possible. The supplier discount program was the second one, but I think you will probably see almost one large announcement from WorkWave each month and things that we're doing as a company.
That'll be exciting. We'll keep we'll keep watching. The other thing that I wanted to ask about that you had made mention. So this announcement has been out there for a couple of months. How so far, David, is the market responding to it? I mean, are a lot more inquiries, a lot more new customers, maybe on the smaller revenue side? How is it going so far?
I think what we found, and we found this with WorkWave Payments too, is there's two parts of it. One is us being able to effectively communicate it. And when you're doing something that's brand new, that's never been done before, we were the first payments provider in all of field service, the entire industry. We are the first payments provider to migrate our entire customer base into that. So these are things that just have never been done before. This level of integration with a supplier like Target has never been done before. So we are figuring it out as we go. And I think that figuring it out as you go, how do you find the best cost advantage for our customer? And that's us working in partnership with Target, getting the data, analyzing the data. It makes it harder to communicate what that path forward is and how do we get the best discounts for our customers. So I think we have a ways to go at WorkWave on the communication of it, making it clear. And a really good specific example would be when we launched WorkWave Payments, we said, we're going to make this very simple. It's going to be one rate and one fee. Not all these randomly changing fees that the providers have, the processors coming in and going out. None of it's transparent. It's all back of the agreement type of cost. And the average pest control operator doesn't really know how much they pay for credit card processing, as an example. And then we come out with one rate, one fee to be more transparent, to make it simpler. And they misinterpret that and say, my God, you can't charge us that rate. That's sky high. This is highway robbery. And we have to say, wait, hang on a second. You don't know what you're being charged. Let us show you what you're actually paying. And then let's compare that to what we're offering. And you'll see this is a very competitive rate, fully integrated into our software. That has the best functionality in the market when you start to add in check scanning, mobile wallet, card present, all the other features that have either come since then or are still coming. So we have to learn how to be more clear, more specific, more clear with our customer base, especially in areas that they might not ever looked at with the same level of depth that we've looked at it on their behalf. And the supplier discount program is kind of matching up against that. They're not used to a software company showing up one day and go, here's 5% discount. There's no price tag. I'm not charging you. It's not mandatory. Don't use it if you don't want. If you don't want to support that company because of who they're owned by, that's no problem. But if you want 5% in your bottom line, here you go. We did this for you. So they're skeptical right away. And some of them have an old history with PestPack or WorkWave going back, who knows, 10 years ago. And they might have certain feelings about it. But in what WorkWave is today, that's very common thinking. How do we do this something good on behalf of our customers? So there has been some skepticism to it. They're looking for, what's the wrinkle here? And we're literally going, there's no wrinkle. Use it. It's free money. I don't care what you do with this money. Reinvest it. Grow your business. Pay your employees more. Cut your prices. Put your kids through college. It's not up to us to tell you what to do, but please take advantage of this great program. And we're seeing every week more and more traction as word gets out on the street through the different social networks that, no, they kind of actually mean it. And I think it's reflective of the new leadership team at WorkWave. We say what we're going to do. We do what we say we're going to do. If we make a mistake, we want to communicate well through it. We want to make it right. Because I think it's the partnership between WorkWave and the customer base that is going to allow us to do awesome things in the future.
And so maybe this is too fresh and it's not been out there long enough, but I mean, if you could guess or maybe consider it, I mean, if you're an average size $2 million pest company, or maybe you're a $10 million pest company, I mean, what do those potential savings look like integrating with the software firm and company like WorkWave to take advantage of, first, the software, second, the purchasing power and some of the merchant services, also with better rates in your guys' purchasing power with the integration with Target Specialty? I mean, is that a 1% add to the bottom line? Is it a 4%? What do you think that looks like for the average firm?
Yeah, I don't think I know some of the math yet, right? We work hand in hand with Target to figure that math out. One of the things that we at WorkWave learned through our integration with Target Specialty Products was, you think that these are commodities. You think that, well, you could buy them in other places if you want. This is fairly simple. And then you figure out, once you start looking at manufacturers' rebates, bundling, substitute products, bulk ordering, all these different dimensions, let alone the fact that large companies have already bargained for discounting that small companies couldn't get. The pricing model that Target uses is actually pretty complex, whereas we thought it would be relatively simple, naively going into it. So we can say that we know the average pest control company really roughly spends between 5 and 10% of its revenue on supplies. And we know the scale is up to a 5% discount on that spend. So you could do the math there.
And David, is that, I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you say supplies, is that just chemical? Is that chemical and equipment? Is that
anything you order from Target? And there are probably some niche areas that they don't have, like you might get your uniforms from Cintas,
sure,
not through Target. But Target has a pretty extensive catalog. I mean, they're clearly the second largest supplier to the industry. I wouldn't know the gaps in its product catalog as well as like a pest control operator would. But it's anything you order through PestPack from Target, right? So when you go through PestPack, you get into their online e-commerce site. That's where you're doing the ordering. So you could go in there, you can look up the stuff you use. And I think that customers are they're already getting savvier to call up and say, well, coming into some season, this is my average service level that I give. I do these treatments this time. How do I get to the next tier through bulk ordering? When it comes to money, the customers get savvy pretty quick. So we know the spend and the percentage. The thing that we haven't been able to calculate yet, because we don't have enough data, is what is the savings you give to a small business when you automatically put them on the same discount tier as a large business? And when we ask this question of Target, we think it's a simple answer. But what we get back is it's a very complicated answer, because it's a mixed bag of what they're buying. And you have different categories with different pricing discounts, different categories, different manufacturers' rebates. So we're learning that it's a complex answer too. But we're building up more and more data. As you mentioned in the introduction, I come from a data background, data and analytics in my background. So I love poking through the data and figuring out, well, how do we navigate this in order to save them more money? But at the heart of a partnership is the partnership. And I think with Target Specialty Products, and a lot of folks have seen me speak with David Helt, who runs Target Specialty Products, I think we both sincerely want to figure out the way to maximize the savings for our customer base. So we'll continue to evolve it.
Yeah, and I love the idea of just leveling the playing field and letting the best service win, and who can get there fastest, provide the best, those sorts of things. And, when you consider even just a percent or two on the bottom line, it doesn't really matter if you're big or small. That's significant. And like you said, with that, you can do whatever you want, reinvest it, pay people more, go on vacation, whatever it is that you like. So that's neat. The other thing that I wanted to maybe wind back a few years, you have been in the current role that you're in as CEO since beginning of 2019 at WorkWave. Is that about right?
I joined at the beginning of 2019 and I got the CEO title, 6 months later, something like that. I think it was a time of transition. Remember, IFS had bought WorkWave about a year before that. The president of field service for IFS was the CEO for WorkWave during that transition period where they were searching for the right CEO at WorkWave. So we were having a lot of discussions about, the way I saw running the company, what I wanted to do with it when I came in. And so Marnie Martin, who's the old CEO, and I work very, very closely together. She's been around field service for such a long time. I've been around it for a while too. She runs field service for IFS. So the transition, I think, was about as smooth as you could get. So I've been there just over 2 years in total.
Okay, and I wonder what it looked like to walk into whatever it was you were walking into. But you had kind of made mention some previous years, and behind that laugh and smile, there's a story. But previous years, maybe WorkWave or PestPack, as some people previously are familiar with the company. There was either room for improvement, like in any firm, but is it some of the new ideas? Is it some of the market evolving that has caused some of these changes and shifts? I mean, I know with the topic today, whether people are benefiting today from the strategic partnership with WorkWave and Target Specialty, or in the future, they certainly will. And so it seems that some of these things have just evolved from the last perhaps 5 years or so. And not asking to address some of those specific issues, but have those been maybe turning points into improving the company?
I think it's a really complicated question to answer. I think we fundamentally changed in the last 2 years. And if you go back and talk to the customers that I know more personally, there are certain customers that I talk to more often. Some of them will text back and forth. I'm pretty close to the customer base. I've made it very clear that any customer of ours, big and small, can call me. They can contact me. I'll take the call and I'll resolve what their issues are. If a company trusts WorkWave to run their business on it, then everyone there ought to be accessible to them. So I've tried to be very open and honest and transparent in my communication with everyone. But most of what you're seeing now has really been the change that started when IFS purchased WorkWave. It was a really solid and stable level of ownership. Yes, it took a little while to find me and get me on board and have me turn this large, complicated ship in the direction that I think it needs to go and that the customers want it to go. But the stability for WorkWave really started with the IFS purchase. So much to the extent you just saw about a month or so ago, 2 months maybe, the carve out of WorkWave. So now WorkWave is a freestanding company, and that signals that EQT, our owner, is willing to invest more and more into WorkWave so that we achieve our full potential, as we like to say. So it was a matter of coming in and I think doing two things. One, really going out and connecting with the market. WorkWave had become a little insulated from the market when it was going through that transition from the old leadership into IFS. It had withdrawn a little bit. That was frustrating customers. Some of the investment in support had dropped, so you had a lot of lag in resolving bugs and tickets, and there was a lot of frustration there for the customers. And all that was adding up into this concern about what was the future of WorkWave. PestPack has always been a market leader, but they were starting to grow concerned about what would its future be 5 years from now. Would it still be that cornerstone of the industry that so many of these customers trusted? And I came in and I was fortunate to have some great support from Darren Roos, who's my boss, the CEO of IFS and the chairman of our board now. And we decided that we were going to build a company for the future. And we were going to make the right level of investment. The first thing we did was invested heavily into service and get the support desk, the support operation really clicking so that now there's problems that linger out there. Any software that's as complicated as PestPack's going to have some bugs in it. But we've really just radically improved the level of service that we provide our customers across the board. And we were really open and transparent in our communication. I was clear with the customer base, as clear as I could be, that this is what I intend to do here. And the way you'll know if I do it is because I will tell you. I hold quarterly meetings with the top 50 customers, only executives and owners. And I tell them what our roadmap is. I tell them what the ticking count is, what the investment in R&D is. I answer to them personally. And 3 months later, I'm back there again in front of them saying, this is what we did, and this is where we're going. These are the challenges we're seeing. And you, customer, by the way, please don't do this because it's having a big impact on everyone else. And in the beginning, there was a lot of complaining and frustration with WorkWave that I listened to, but now you don't have that. You have problems that we need to address and solve, but there's a lot of trust. And I know this is a long answer because it's so near and dear to my heart in the 2 years that I've been at WorkWave. The thing that you had happening in WorkWave, which our customer base probably doesn't understand, is the frustration level of our employees was very high. The employees wanted to do the right thing. They have very close relationships with these customers. There are people at WorkWave that have been there over 25 years and have known the same owner for that 25 years.
Sure.
And when they're on the phone with them, they want to give them an answer they know is true. And they knew the ticket count was going up. They knew the organization was distracted back then. So the employees were frustrated by not solving the problem for these customers as well. So when I came in and we examined where the company was at, and I started to really communicate with the employees, tell them what we needed to do, the employee confidence really started to climb because these are genuine and sincere people. They want to do the right thing by these customers. They know a lot of them. They know their kids' names. They know their life story. So the employee base started to get excited and enthusiastic. And when you create that type of climate inside a company, that's how you're able to execute on these really progressive programs like WorkWave Payments and a supplier discount program, WorkWave Marketplace. It comes from the culture you create in the company.
Incredible. No, great answer. Thank you so much. And I know that we didn't previously talk about this. I hope I didn't put you on the spot, but as you had talked about I had wondered if this strategic partnership and just other problems that all organizations have was solved because of some of those things. And I'm hearing even more as I've seen in writings that you've published and visiting with you a few times, just the amount of very good, capable, talented people that are inside of the organization. They're doing all of the real hard work, right? And are taking care of customers day in, day out, and wanting to have solutions, and answers. And what a role or rock and hard place, if you will, for you to be in, coming into turning that around and having things go in that sort of direction.
I really do appreciate you saying that, Austin. And I guess it is. But everyone's perspective is relative to their background. And my background for so much of my career, my operations background at Airborne Express was a really challenging environment. We were taking the company back from Jimmy Hoffa's union. Right? And then at JH Cone, I was building a practice that was super progressive. We were just doing things with information and big data that hadn't been done before. And those type of ideas are very challenging to sell and to implement. And then my experience since then has been working with companies where I was the ingredient of change. I was brought there to break it out of the malaise it had fallen into, to make it profitable, to figure out how to get the customer base back to be supported. So I came from environments that were pretty challenging throughout my career. And when you look at the pace of WorkWave, the amount of huge things that we deal with day in and day out, the complexities of this customer base, we have 4 platforms, 8 add-on products. We're the first PayFac in the industry, and we have a New York City quality agency, all with about 320 people. So yes, it can feel overwhelming at times, but I have to tell you, I don't feel that way day in and day out, because it's the first time in my career where I am surrounded by a great executive team, a great group of employees. I have great owners who are completely supportive and totally invested in the future of WorkWave and us being that unique thing in the market that doesn't exist right now. So when you have that kind of environment that you're in, for me as the CEO, yeah, we carry a lot, don't get me wrong, but it's a different kind of stress, right? I mean, when you're struggling in a company, you're really trying to drive change when change isn't, nobody wants change. That's hard. This is like just controlling the chaos and controlling the enthusiasm and the energy. There's so much that can be done, so much opportunity in front of this company, that you just have to be steady and on course and not allow it to distract you. It's exciting. Yeah, it's hard, but it's exciting in a very, I don't know, I'm probably not doing a good job of summing it up, but it's hard, but it's a good hard, it's, I don't know.
Well, exciting is the word that came to my mind, and especially for you, what a neat, fun, exciting, challenging time to be a part of the company, what you're doing, and what a great history, and it seems like even a brighter future. It really is amazing. Well, I'll keep looking out for those monthly releases and newsletters. As we David start to round this out just a little bit, as far as your role as CEO, you've talked about a lot of things that have perhaps prepared you for some of the unique challenges that WorkWave has faced, is facing, will face in the future. Where does a guy like you turn for? And I'm not talking about formal education necessarily. You did that long ago, and those sorts of things. But every day, I mean, who do you read? What do you read? What do you listen to? How do you continue to stay relevant and sharp for your customers and for your employees, and to continue to be able to navigate such a big ship that is WorkWave?
Yeah, I first would say I've been really blessed to have ownership that I can have real open, honest communication with. A lot of folks who own pest control companies have been owners their whole life, so they don't know what it's like to have challenging bosses. But I have had challenging bosses, and I'm really privileged now to have an ownership structure and a board of directors that I can call and have real conversations with. And these are folks that are very successful, have longer, more complicated careers than I have. So there's a lot for me to lean on around me. And it's also the first time I've been at a round table with my executive team, and every person there is better at what they do than I am. And so when we're talking, you're trying to combine really talented people who all see things from different direction, and that rounds it out. And at the same time, we have an outstanding customer base. And I tell our employees, we only need to do two things, really. We have great customers. We need to listen to them and understand what they need. And then we need to be able to see where the market is going, where the industry is going, and bring things to them and explain it and position it when they're just not looking in the same direction of being more progressive that we are. So if you can combine those two things, then you will build great products, develop great products, put them out in the market. It will carry the company forward. And I think we're getting better and better at it because we're getting better at listening and communicating with the customer base. As you know, they are not shy about telling you what they need and want and expect, especially in pest control.
They have opinions. They have opinions. It's crazy, and they voice them strongly at times.
They do. And I've been blessed throughout my career that I've always been really involved in emerging technology and applying that into enterprise technology like we have. So I have a pretty good network. I've had a fortunate career in meeting and working with some great people, and I think I learned it later in life, but the light bulb did go off to me that you have to build and cultivate and keep those connections and surround yourself with good thinking people that you can call on when you're dealing with a problem that you yourself as a CEO haven't encountered before. You want to make sure that your perspective is well balanced. You don't want to do the wrong thing because your voice carries extra weight because of your position. You have to take that seriously. So by adding those all together, I think, it keeps me on point, and it keeps me, doesn't allow your head to get in the clouds. The customers will bring you back down to earth.
Yeah. And I've heard the things that I heard from that piece, that it sounds that you've got a lot of really incredible people around you that are close, that can help to be able to provide perspective that not that you don't have, but just from a different perspective.
Yeah, you know yourself, Austin. It doesn't matter the size of the company. When you are the owner, or you're the guy, the senior person, it can be lonely. There is a responsibility that you go to sleep with and wake up with that nobody else in the organization feels in the same way. if I make a promise to a customer, I take it very personally, because I know at the end of the day, I'm ultimately the person with the power to either live up to that commitment or disappoint them. I can't dodge my responsibility the way that, some other employees can feel like, well, this wasn't my decision. I don't have that luxury. You don't have that luxury with your group. So if you take that seriously and to heart, the weight can be heavy and it can be lonely. But when you lead an organization like WorkWave, you always have to remember what a great privilege it is. It's just doesn't come along, and not everyone has that blessing. So I'm very respectful of it, and I'm fortunate to have the employees, the executive team, the ownership, the board of directors that I have. I think we can do great things because there's great people that are going to be building a great company and great products.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you. And it's no exception with your, as we round this out now, but with your, the WorkWave and Target Specialty strategic relationship and providing a real competitive advantage. You mentioned David Helt earlier. And I've the last month or so had the opportunity just in the last month, 6 weeks, to be on the phone with him a couple of times, and really incredible, capable, bright person. And so you surround yourself with people like that, good owners, wonderful employees, a great executive team, like you've said, and there's really just not anything that you couldn't accomplish or overcome together. David, thank you so much for being on. If people want to reach out or want to connect with you, do they do that via LinkedIn? What's the best way for people to exchange with you?
Well, you can always get me on LinkedIn or any of the social networks. Really, my email address is very simple. It's my first initial last name, Giannetto @WorkWave. You can always reach me there. I get emails from 1, 2, 3 user companies, and then of course I know the $1 billion customers. They know how to get me day and night. So I'm happy to respond to anyone that wants to reach out to me. And workwave.com, of course, you can get us through there. Or if you're a WorkWave customer, you have an account manager, you have a customer success manager, you can just call into the company's help desk and ask to be. It might take you a little while to navigate through to it, but I'll get the message, and I'm happy to respond that way as well.
No, that's fantastic. David, thank you again so much for your time. Thank you so much for being on. Everyone listening, thank you for being on. Thank you for tuning in. Check in with us again next week. We'll drop these once a week, and you guys will be able to hear from fantastic guests like David, who's on with us today, past guests that might include Michael E. Gerber, and different sorts of people that can help to be able to multiply you and add to the top line and bottom line of your business, and just have you be more rounded out and doing more of the right things more often with the right people. So thank you so much, everybody, and create a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.